Who are you? Where have you been? Where are you going? This is a video response to a challenge recently posted by Philip DeFranco for people to tell their own personal pandemic stories. I've never done anything like this before. I'm going to upload one copy of this video to YouTube and provide another to Rogue Rocket. When I think about the beginning of 2020, I think about the death of Kobe Bryant, which ironically we thought was going to be the worst thing to happen in 2020. 2 months later, I was attending a wedding. This was right when COVID was getting started. We were all joking about it. I remember specifically shaking hands with a girl and then us both joking, "Now you've got COVID." Not 2 weeks later, everything was shut down. The bride and groom were forced to cut their honeymoon short. And in all likelihood, that wedding was probably a super spreader event. The person I was before the pandemic was absolutely not the person I am today. And I'm not just saying that to be cliche. I was clinically depressed. I was a 36-year-old friendless single man still living with his insufferable parents, working a job that put me just above the poverty line. I had no ambition, no joy, no hope. The only things in my life that brought me comfort were my two dogs, Lola and Misty. I was preparing for a life of infinite solitude, certain that my parents would outlive me or that I would die a lonely, sick old man, just like my great uncle. Now, fast forward to mid March 2020. Now, bear in mind, I live in New York, which was at one point the center of the pandemic, not just in America, but the entire world. Everything was shut down. If you were not a supermarket, pharmacy, or in my case, a bank, you were shut down. The roads were shut down, the streets were deserted. For the first time in my life, I saw major boulevards during rush hour that would normally be teeming with cars empty. It was like the apocalypse, honestly. And here was this 30 something schmuck walking down deserted streets in a suit to work, wondering where the hell everybody went. I felt like the old man from that Twilight Zone episode. For weeks and weeks, there was this eerie, unsettling silence in the air. My workplace wasn't shut down, however. We did close the interior of the bank. We only allowed customers in if they wanted to access their safe deposit boxes. And even then, only if they had an appointment. So, of course, our very first customer on the very first day, we were drive up only, is this middle aged Karen who bangs on our door demanding to be let in so she can access her safe deposit box. As per protocol, we had to ask every customer who wanted to come in if they were feeling ill or had been exposed to somebody who had been ill within the last 14 days. In a remarkable admission, the woman responds, "Oh, my husband's in the hospital dying of COVID. I just need to get into a safe deposit box to see if he has a will." But it's okay. I've been self isolating. Well, no, you haven't. By the very nature of you being here out in public trying to enter a commercial building. So, of course, I said no. She demands to speak to the manager, who also proceeds to tell her no. Then, a few minutes later, she pulls up to the drive up and asks to be let in a third time, and we tell this vulture a third time, no! This became a pattern during the next few months, made even more challenging by the fact that our staff was split in two in order to decrease the risk of contamination. So I was being forced to serve these angry, impatient, self entitled old people who were now even angrier, more impatient, and more self entitled. Two shifts, it was literally just me and my manager taking customers when we normally need a staff of at least five in order for a day to run smoothly. In the end, one of my coworkers did eventually end up catching COVID, fact for which I was not informed until weeks later. So, what was the point of splitting up the staff again? I don't know. And in case our jobs weren't hard enough already, the brain trust at the back office decided to update our bank software for the first time in 12 years, in the middle of a pandemic. So, needless to say, it was a disaster and the final straw for me working at that job. I literally felt myself headed for a nervous breakdown. Now, outside of work was a different story altogether. It was really interesting. This was truly an introvert's pandemic. If you were paying attention in the early days of the pandemic, who were the people who were the most chill? It was the nerds, the shut ins, people like me who do nothing but play video games and watch streaming networks. What's that? You don't want me to go outside and visit my non existent friends? Okay. See, extroverts, the people who are out every day and crave human attention, who are climbing the walls, complaining about not being able to visit the salon or grab a beer at the bar with their buddies. For those people, it was the end of the world. For me, it was Tuesday. Having said all that, I think the most important lesson I've learned from the pandemic is we're not alone. We're all interconnected. We were all suffering, some obviously a lot more than others, but we're all struggling together one way or another. Solidarity in misery. Which sounds kind of dark, and maybe it is, but in some twisted way, it gave me strength. It gave me determination. It caused me to reevaluate my entire life, and I didn't just want to survive anymore. I wanted to live. I wanted to be happy, and for the first time in a long time, maybe ever, I felt I deserved to be happy. As for what comes next for me, well, the jury's still out on that one. If it wasn't for the pandemic, I might not have met my girlfriend, who messaged me on Facebook dating one day while she was furloughed from work. We've been together for 2 years now, which is the longest continuous relationship I've ever had. We went to freaking Hawaii together, and I'm actually thinking about marrying her, an idea that 2020 me would have laughed me out of the room over. I might not have moved out of my parents' house into my own place where I can do whatever I want and decorate however I want. And though I've certainly been through a lot of challenges since the beginning of the pandemic, not all of which are related to the pandemic, as anybody who follows my channel knows, the fact that I can actually seriously think about who I want to be versus just who I am or who I was, and I now have the power to make that happen, is amazing. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care, stay safe, and tune in next time.